Seedlings! You probably planted too many seeds. In this video, I'm going to show you how to thin out your plants. Hi, this is Jeremy Stark here from Green Thumb Garden, here to give you some tips, tutorials, and reviews for all your gardening needs. If you do like our show and you find our content helpful, please give us a green thumbs up so that we know that you like the content. Also, if you want, please also subscribe to the link down below and hit that bell so you get notifications of all our videos. Also, want to let you know if you want to have some other tips, we do have a website that has some tips out there. If you want to go to gardenerthumb.com, you can find some tips there as well. Now that we've got that out of the way, let's get right into the show that we're going to have today. Today, we're going to go over a very simple way on how to actually thin your plants. Now, this can be done for any type of plant. It could be done for, say, carrots. It could be done for lettuce. It could be done for radishes or any other kind of small seed plants that you may have. The problem is when you have really small seeds, you'll actually, as you're planting them, you're going to just get a lot of them all around. So you might not be able to, to kind of space them out as you want. But as they actually start growing and getting larger, you're going to want to make some room here, because one of the benefits of thinning your plants out is that it will allow the actual plants in there to be able to grow and get all the nutrients that they need. Also, for plants such as carrots, in this example we have carrots here, they are root vegetables, so they're going to obviously go down, so they're going to basically need as much room as they can to space out. Also, when you have like lettuce, you want to have them spaced out for some of the type of plants, like an iceberg lettuce or maybe a romaine lettuce, that you do want to have it allow it to grow up, so it does have some space to kind of move around, and it's not competing for all the nutrients. So a very simple way to actually thin your plants, we're going to go over right here. There's a couple of ways that you can do it. And it's very simple on how to do, and we'll get right into it. All right, I'm going to show you a very simple way on how to actually thin some of your plants that you have in your garden. This, like I said, this really works well with, say, lettuce, carrots, maybe some radishes and things like that. Some of those seeds that are really small and that you don't want to have too close together. But they just happen to just fall in there and get, in your garden. So, there's a couple ways you can do it. The first way, obviously, is to, you basically want to get rid of the plant. So you would just take some scissors or some shears, and then you want to, what you want to do is, depending on what plant you have, is you want to know basically how far apart that the recommended, space is for it. So you might want to look at your seed packet. They usually have on there how far you're supposed to space things apart. But a very simple way to think of it is just think of, how big is this carrot or lettuce going to be? So when you see it, when you think of lettuce, maybe I'm thinking, say like, romaine lettuce. So the romaine lettuce is going to be, basically about this part. So maybe you might be able to fit 5 or 6 of them in this particular container. But for carrots, that may be, how basically the diameter of it. So, maybe space them 4 or 5 inches apart, somewhere in that vicinity, 4 inches apart. So you really just want to look on the packet, but just think of, when they're fully grown, like what size they'll be, so that the kind of space them apart. So, so basically the first way is to obviously cut them, on the actual stem itself. So what I try to do is, if there's a lot of them in here, I look for the ones that are just kind of smaller anyways, so because they're not really growing, and then I'll just take them by the root and I'll cut them off. Now this is a good way to do this because some plants that you have, you don't want to disturb them too much. So if you kind of pull them out, you yank them out, that might disturb the root system of the actual plant. Carrots and lettuce and even radishes, they don't really seem to be affected too much when they're in the in the shorter, when they haven't grown as much right now. So this is only a 4 or 5 week old carrot carrots that I planted here. So these guys are still fine. But just be aware of that, that you know, the reason why you want to do this is that you don't want to disturb anything. It's really simple to do it. You just go through and you cut them all, and you get, you know, basically the amount that you want in there. Another very simple way to do this is you can actually move the plants. You can basically transplant them. Now you want to make sure that whether you're planting lettuce or carrots or radishes or anything like that, you want to make sure that the soil has been watered, because you want it to be, you know, easy to move around. You want to be able to pull the root right out, and then you're going to plant it into another spot. So the first thing I would do, and it rained last night here, so I don't have to worry about it. But if it was a little drier out, I would just water it up, give it a few, maybe 15 minutes to kind of soak in, and then you should be ready to go. So, so what I do to just kind of move things around is I kind of figure out what space needs them, and then what I'll do is I'll find the ones that are really dense. So in this one, let's see, kind of sort through here on these carrots. Okay, so this guy right here, it looks like he is just kind of hanging around too many people over here. So what I'll do is I'm gonna just kind of separate this guy right here. And then all I do is I make sure I have the root, and then I pull it straight up. And I'm not sure if you can see it with the camera or not, but the root just came right up for this guy right here. So then what I do is I take a little stick, a little pen, or maybe a little paintbrush, and then all I do is I poke a hole in a spot that might need it. So on this side it looks like I might have missed some of it. And then I just take the root and I just push it right down all the way in there. And then I kind of cover it up again. So that's pretty simple. And you know, this is with carrots, but you can also do this with lettuce. I've done this with lettuce as well. You know, especially the romaine lettuce or the iceberg lettuce. You know, the kind of the bib lettuces. The salad bowl ones that are just all leaves. Like I don't even bother doing that. I just kind of sprinkle them around. And I'm actually going to do a video on that as well. So if you check out the link, I'll show you a video on how to plant lettuce seeds if you want to see that as well. But for this one, basically, it's just pretty simple, just moving things around or you cut it up. And that's really the two simple ways that you can move your plants around.